Welcome to Kill Team Casuals, a podcast all about Kill Team filmed in 3 different time zones by 3 different gents. Enjoy.
What's like the stance on people? So say, for instance, you see someone make a mistake or they've just made the mistake and they've kind of realized. What's your stance on take? And this is for you, obviously, as well, Russ. Stance on take backsies. If it's tournament setting, is there no take backsies? You know, like as in, if you make a mistake and it's you just suck it. You gotta suck it up, buddy.
You know what? It depends. It really does depend. It depends how early in the tournament you are.
How serious it is.
And the thing, okay. So there's a mixture between how serious you want to take it, but I think generally, and again, it's hard. But if dice are rolled, I feel you've locked it in at that point. I think that's kind of fair enough to say, look, I move here and I'm going to attack him. And then he goes, no, I needed him to do. It's like, you have already rolled dice. You've been rolled yourself in. But if someone says, I'm going to move here, bop that point, and then pass, and then he goes immediately, hang on a sec. No, I would generally be okay with letting some. I know each opponent's different, and you basically have to feel that out with your opponent. It's hard because I've let people run back moves that are really bad for me just because it doesn't affect. Like I couldn't have stopped them doing it, and they did. They kind of stopped it in time and said, "Can I do it?" And I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's still your go. I don't think you've not really done anything yet. No dice were rolled. But honestly, you can be. I mean, if you want to win hard, Reese, and you want to win at all costs,
go on.
You can be like your hand has left the model.
Chess rules.
You have intake breath in between saying something, and I've started saying something, so it's now my turn. You get to do nothing. You can play it how you want to play it. But I think there's generally, dice are rolled, no dice.
Yeah,
I agree with that. And I'm generally a fan of being okay with the takebacks. Like, unless, I was thinking of my last game was probably the game that the TO ended up being called over the most for, because there's a few. Again, you get deeper in the tournament, you start to take things a little bit more seriously.
Right,
it's like stuff. But like for takebacks, I think specifically like in the game that I had with Garrett, like there was a move where no dice had been rolled. And he had made a move, and it was like over to my turn. I hadn't done anything yet, or even said anything yet. He was like, "Oh man, like actually, do you mind if I go back and do this?" And again, it was a move that was better for him, worse for me. And I was like, "Yeah, man, go for it." Like, you never want to beat your opponent because they had a brain fart. Like that doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? Or you know what I'm saying? So I'm always a fan of, and having in many of my games where the opponent wanted to go back, do something, and like, yeah, let's go for it. But and specifically in that same game with Garrett, there was that move where he revealed Courier and then rolled dice. And like again, he even knew, because there's a point of no return. Like if you roll dice and think, actually, hey, can we not do that? Instead, I got to move this Courier. Like if you ask that, you're the bad guy. Now you're the jerk.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think there's a point where you shouldn't ask.
Yeah.
Like you can say it and then
wallowing in your mistake. Like if I make a mistake, generally I just eat it no matter what. So you know what? I gotta remember this.
Yeah.
This is gonna be how I remember, and I'll just even the last are you sure you don't want to go back and do that? Like if it's, and this is more in like casual games, I will take the mistake. But if it's in a tournament setting and they're generous, like I'll move him over here actually if you don't mind.
Sometimes you take it. I've got a mate who's very good at that, Chris. Shout out to Chris because he listened to the pod, I think. But like Chris will never, like even in casual games, you'd be like, you can take it back, and he's like, no, I made the move, and it's very admirable. He's like, no, I will live and die by this decision, and it is very admirable. But yeah, he's a big proponent on I did it now. Make your bed now lie in it kind of tactics.
Because I think for me, that's one of basically the reason this also came up, Ben, was because me and my friends have started to be not dicks about it, but a lot more strict about if you make a mistake, and that's especially when dice are rolled, the game's moved on, there's no takebacks or go backs. Because it's that thing though too, like as you said, it feels bad if your opponent has a brain fart. But also in a game that is competitive in which you're trying to win, in some ways that's part of the strategy, isn't it? You're hoping that your opponent makes a mistake because that's how you capitalize. That's how you might not necessarily win because you're the best player, but you just didn't make a mistake versus they made, I should have run that courier instead of so that makes or breaks a game. And then if you turn around and go, all right, I'll let you have that courier guy, and then all of a sudden the result changes because of that, well,
yeah,
you should have won. It's not your fault. They forgot. The devil's advocate of, as I said, especially I'm talking more competitive, but I guess the best way to learn is like Russ's good mate. Sometimes you've got to make the mistake, because when you make those mistakes, I feel like you are so much better at not making that same mistake because you got burned. So it's like seared into your brain.
Yeah. And there are some folks out there who are, you said, talking about like being dickish about it. And I'm not saying these people are. I think technically in a tournament, you are well within your rights to not allow a take back. Like, I don't think you're a bad person if you don't allow takebacks, but I do think, I think you sort of touched on this, Russ, that you have to sort of judge in the moment. Like, because again, this is also a social interaction. Like you have to judge in the moment. Like, is saying no that you can't move this guy an inch over to get the benefit of cover before anything has happened? Like, you can technically say no to that, but like, number one, is that how you want to win? And number two, like, is that sort of the person that you want to be? Even though I want to say, I think you're well within your rights to not allow a take back, but also you got to understand, because this happened to my opponent in a game where he wanted to do some little take back thing. I've seen this happen many times at events I have run, events I've been to, where someone will not let somebody go back, and that sets the tone for the whole game, and that will end up biting that person in the butt. Because specifically what happened in this one event that I ran, it was Harlequins versus it was some sort of Marines or something like that. I think it was Phobos. And so the Phobos player made a mistake and asked, actually, I meant this guy to be just a few inches over there, or whatever it was, or in deployment. It's like, I'm just going to go ahead and move him. And the other guy said, no, sorry, you can't do that. And that set the tone for the game. And then the Harlequin player did not reveal like their mythic play or grand act, whatever it was, tac op, when they needed to reveal it. So it's like turn 2 or 3. Or it's like turn 2 is like, they call me over and it's like, ooh, I didn't reveal the tac op. It's like, and so it's like, ooh, for this moment where this has happened. So this has set the tone. So again, it's like, this is up to your opponent to allow you to go back. And the opponent is like, nope, no takebacks, right? And so like that set the tone for the game. And so like, that's 2 VP that you can't score because of that sort of
for Harlequins as well, because like that's almost guaranteed you getting that.
That's like, oof. So like I've seen it happen where it sets the tone. So you just have to judge in the moment, I think, how you want it to play out. I keep bringing up the game I had with Garrett, but it was just a great example of a game played by intent. And there's even a moment, I think sort of encapsulates what you're talking about, is we were going over each other's rules and this kind of stuff. And I asked him, because playing by intent, I was like, okay, I'm going to move this guy up here. And the intent is that he will not be able to be charged. Would you give me a measurement I want this to be correct? Like, I don't want to be charged. And he measured it. And it's like, I think this is the like turn 2 or the beginning of turn 1. And he's like, yep, it's right there. He cannot be charged. But just like keep in mind, and he even said, what I think was a good way to handle it is like, it's probably the last time I'm going to bring this up openly, but I do have a ploy where I can gain 1 inch of movement to where if I pop that, I could get him. It's like, that'll probably be the last time I give you that warning. But just keep in mind that is there. I thought that was a good way to load
nice
that
way to do it. Yeah,
he's not setting up a turn 1 gotcha, but but also at the same time, it's on me to forget. If I forget, then I deserve to get punished, you know? So it's like, that was a good sort of middle ground to set that up, to be friendly, to be a nice person, be a generous opponent, but at the same time, saying like, okay, like, we are going to take the training wheels off, you know what I mean? So
I think that's a good way to play by intent, to be like, you're saying, my intention is to not get charged. And he's not, if he says, I'm not within charge range of you, then drops a ploy and you're like, charges you, that would be argued to be like, well, that's a bit of a dick move, mate. But the fact that he's like, just so you know, I can increase my range, and he might be in range of that. So just bear in mind, I can add an additional inch. So add another 2 inches onto a charge range, and that's my threat range. That's a nice, because then he might not play that, but he's just like, the intention you're doing there, that might end up being my move. So, but then I'm not going to tell you from now on. I think that's a good way to play it, to give you a warning. I think that's fair. That's why playing by intention is useful.
Because there's some rules too, I guess, that do, for some teams, there's not too many, but there are some that obviously rely on the gotcha mechanic, or the you forgetting that they can do it. And a good one you used earlier, Ben, was the Corsair one of that they can intercept you if you charge by them. And it's kind of that thing again. It's like, if I keep if I'm playing Corsairs and I keep letting you know or keep warning you, yes, it still works as a deterrent, I guess, but it never, I guess it relies on you making the mistake of going, I can get this other guy, and me going, aha, no, you can't. And it's like, again, when does a gotcha become, well, that's actually, I guess, in that rule is there for that exact moment. It's there to be a gotcha. That it's interesting. Those are, I think,
points.
Because otherwise it's useless.
Felgor, T, or just all their gotchas, +1 inch movement, +1 crit damage. Like, it's just gotchas all over the place.
Yeah. So it's like, if that's what makes your team good, when does, yes, I'm all for like, a bit reminders, but that's it. If that player then spends the entire game going, oh, don't forget this guy does this, don't forget this guy does this. Yeah. That player is effectively nearly coaching you how to beat them. You know what I mean? Because you're getting to avoid every one of their benefits. And it's like, well, again, maybe depends if it's a casual or a competitive game. I know I'm very much with you guys. I am always usually of the mindset as long as no dice have been rolled and we know what your intent was, what you were trying to do. Always the spirit of the game is first. I think it's fun versus competitive. Oh, look at me, I'm the winner.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's a definitely.
Thanks for watching. The full pod is available where you listen to your podcast. We stream live on Twitch at Casual Wargamers, and the full video podcast is available now to all tiers of our Patreon. See you next week.